Hello and welcome back. The year is 1961. The giant atomic monster film craze of the 1950s was dying down in America. In Japan, after his first sequel in 1955, Godzilla would take a short break and reappear in 1962. And Godzilla's rival, Gamera, would not make his first appearance until 1965. But in 1961, three brand new giant monsters did appear in film to challenge the world, with all three of them appearing in Europe rather than the US or Japan. I'll be covering all three of the giant monsters from 1961 in separate videos, starting with this one, where we'll talk about arguably the most famous of the three, Gorgo.
Motion picture of our time has ever unleashed shock spectacle of such scope and realism as up from the depths of prehistoric mystery rages Gorgo. The headlines of the world blaze the fabulous story of this monster from another age, catapulted from some vast sub-ocean cavern by unprecedented volcanic action. And the headlines scream the story of the reckless skin divers who captured the monster and put it on exhibition.
Sam! Pull out! Drop the nets! What do you think you're doing? Hey, take it easy.
I came to let him go back to the sea where he belongs.
Why?
Maybe to save your silly skins for you.
Hurry, hurry, hurry to see Gorgo!
But the headlines do not record the story of a little boy who had a curious sympathy and understanding for the fantastic creature. What strange secret does he know that scientists only suspect?
You trying to say there may be a fully grown one of these things around somewhere? How big would a full-grown one be?
An approximate guess. The infant. The adult.
That would make it nearly 200 feet tall.
Wreaking terrible vengeance against the civilization that has captured its offspring. Towering over the cities of the world as millions flee its awesome terror.
Prepare! Prepare while you still can! Prepare!
Nothing can stop it. Defying the force of the Army, the might of the Navy.
Fire number one, Terry. Ready to open fire, sir. Fire one.
Even the fury of the jets. In a crashing crescendo of sights never before beheld by human eyes, and adventures never before experienced by any man or woman.
Gorgo was released to theaters on March 29, 1961 in the US, and on October 27, 1961 in the UK. The film was directed by Eugene Laurie, who had previously directed two giant monster films in the 1950s. 1953's The Beast from 20,000 Fathoms, and 1959's The Giant Behemoth. Those previous films both brought the giant creature to life via stop-motion animation, with the legendary Ray Harryhausen creating the effects for The Beast from 20,000 Fathoms, and Harryhausen's mentor, stop-motion pioneer Willis O'Brien, working on The Giant Behemoth. But Gorgo's special effects took its inspiration from the Japanese giant Godzilla, creating its creature via suitmation, i.e. bringing its monster to life with a stunt actor inside a latex monster suit. Gorgo stars Bill Travers as Captain Joe Ryan, and William Sylvester as First Officer Sam Slade. They're in command of a small crew on a rusty salvage vessel called the Triton. The ship is in the waters near Nara Island, a small island off the coast of Ireland. While searching the seabed, an undersea volcano suddenly appears and erupts. The eruption and the ensuing tumultuous waves damage the ship. Since repairs will take 3 or 4 days and the crew is out of fresh water, Joe and Sam head off to Nara Island in search of aid. There they meet a young orphan boy named Sean, played by Vincent Winter, who does odd jobs for the harbor master. The harbor master is unwelcoming to strangers on the island and informs Joe and Sam that they need to leave within 24 hours, but he will provide them with fresh water. While in the harbor master's cabin, Joe and Sam notice many treasures that have been salvaged from the sea and suspect that the harbor master has something to hide. So when they get back to the Triton, they continue to dive the waters to see if they can find anything of note. The two men encounter one of the harbor master's own divers, who appears to be in distress. When they pull a man aboard their boat to give him aid, he appears to die of fright. And Joe notices that the diver has some gold coins in his possession, which leads him to believe that there are treasures in the water that the harbor master wants to find for himself. While diving to search for this treasure, Sam is startled by what appears to be an enormous reptilian creature. That night they return to the island to confront the harbor master, but the creature that Sam saw comes ashore on the island and begins to wreak havoc. The 65-foot-tall monster is referred to by young Sean as Ogre, a spirit of the sea. The creature returns to the sea after the villagers successfully repel it using fiery torches. The next morning, the harbor master's diving crew are all looking for passage off the island. Without his crew, there's no hope that the harbor master will ever recover any of the treasure in the ocean. So Joe and Sam make a proposition to the harbor master. In exchange for some of the gold, they will get rid of the creature. A deal is struck, but Sam suggests to Joe that instead of outright killing the monster, they try to capture it, with the hope of earning even more money from the monster's discovery. The plan is hatched, and the crew of the Triton successfully capture the creature and bring it aboard the salvage vessel. Upon hearing of the creature's capture, scientists from mainland Ireland head out to the Triton and strike a deal with Joe and Sam to bring the creature to Dublin for scientific study. But unbeknownst to the Irish scientists, the two men make an alternative deal without telling them. They plan to deliver the creature to London, to a Mr. Dorkin, the owner of Dorkin's Circus. Mr. Dorkin intends on putting the creature on display for the public, and he will split the box office take with Sam and Joe. So the Triton heads for London. Upon its arrival, Mr. Dorkin dubs the creature Gorgo, taking the name from the Gorgons of Greek myth. Gorgo is chained to a flatbed truck and driven through the streets of London to a special enclosure that's been created in Battersea Park. During the journey from Nara Island to London, one of the crew members aboard the Triton is killed, and another man is killed trying to get the creature into the enclosure in London. So even though the public display of Gorgo is bringing in a lot of money, Sam begins to regret their decisions due to the deaths of innocent men. Up until this point in the film, Gorgo has pretty much been a new take on the original King Kong. A creature is found on an island, is captured, taken back to a huge metropolitan city, and put on display for the public. But Gorgo then gives this story a unique twist. The scientists who have been studying Gorgo inform Joe, Sam, and Mr. Dorkin that the creature they have in captivity is in fact an infant. And where there is an infant, there must surely be parents. And they estimate that the parent creature would be at least 200 feet tall. Sure enough, shortly after this discovery, Gorgo's mother emerges off the coast of Nara Island searching for her lost baby. The mother creature completely demolishes Nara Island and heads off across the sea toward London. It's at this point that the film turns into more of a traditional creature on the loose movie. The Royal British Navy attempts to stop the mother Gorgo, but all weapons they use against her prove useless. The giant comes ashore in London and rampages across the city on the way to retrieve her lost baby. Along the way, she destroys such recognizable landmarks as Tower Bridge and the clock tower that houses Big Ben. With the military on the ground unable to stop her, Mother Gorgo wreaks havoc through London until she finds her child, and they both return to the sea, leaving the great city behind in ruins. One thing that always struck me about the film Gorgo was how unlikable all the characters are. They all want to exploit each other and eventually the creatures for their own personal greed. So Gorgo is definitely a film where you root for the monsters to win. And in the end, they do. American comic book company Charlton Comics licensed Gorgo for publication upon the film's release. Between 1961 and 1965, Charlton published a total of 26 issues featuring the further adventures of the mother and baby monster team. Many of these comics were drawn by the legendary Steve Ditko, co-creator of Spider-Man and Doctor Strange over at Marvel Comics. The Gorgo series featured all the usual science fiction tropes generally found in comic books about monsters. The title creatures encountered, of course, other giant monsters and military, as well as strange beings from lost civilizations and outer space. And because it was the 1960s, they also encountered agents of communist governments. Since its publication, the Charlton Gorgo comics are presumed to be in the public domain. This copy I have here is one of several public domain reprints that you can purchase. This one containing all 26 of those original Gorgo issues. But different publishers have republished these stories in premium formats. In 2013, IDW released Ditko Monsters Gorgo, a 224-page hardcover book that reprinted all of the stories that were done by Steve Ditko. And in 2021, Fantico Enterprises released a collection called Gorgo Attacks, which reprinted the Charlton Gorgo stories worked on by other creators, such as Joe Sinnott, Joe Gill, and Vince Colletta. Toys of Gorgo have been few and far between. In 1964, a company called Palmer released a series of small plastic movie monster figures that stood about 2 inches tall. Among these monsters was Gorgo, quite a diminutive toy for a creature so large. In the mid-2000s, toy maker M1 Go released figures of both the mother and baby Gorgos, done in the style of Japanese vinyl sofubi figures. Titanic Creations is a company known for releasing vinyl figures of its own original kaiju designs. In late 2022, they announced a crowdfunding campaign for their first action figure, a 6-inch tall licensed version of Gorgo. Besides including the smaller baby version, the crowdfund campaign had several tiers, which included models of the jets from the film, as well as the Big Ben clock tower. After a successful crowdfund campaign, Titanic Creations also released a plush version of Gorgo, as well as a supersized 13-inch tall version, which at the time of this recording is still available on their website. In March 2024, they solicited a second release of Gorgo, which would be limited to 500 pieces. This version included the mother and baby, but not any of the other accessories from the crowdfund campaign. And rather than movie-accurate colors, this version would feature the green of the 1960s comic books. Let's take a look at these Gorgo toys. And here we have the baby, who is very small, about 2 inches tall, and is not articulated. But it's nice to have the baby figure to go along with the mother, since that was the main focus of the movie. Here's Big Mama, who many friends refer to as Ogra rather than Gorgo, since that was the name given to the creature back on Nara Island. And Big Mama is fully articulated. She has opening and closing jaw. Her head can swivel around. She can look up a little bit and down a little bit. There is a pivot point at the base of the neck. Doesn't turn too much, but you do get a little movement out of it. Shoulders can go out a little bit. They do have 360. She has an elbow joint that doesn't quite get to 90. Swivel wrists for those giant hands. There's an ab cut where she can turn 360. Not much in and out on the hips, but they can also go around 360. There is a ball joint at the ankle, so she can pivot her foot forward a little bit. Not too much in backward movement though. And the feet can go 360. She also has a joint in the foot itself, so the toes can go up and down. The tail is segmented, so you get a little bit of range of movement out of the tail. You can twist around. I believe there's a series of ball joints within the tail, and all these segments are connected inside the rings. The paint on her is, like I said, comic book green, but it does have a nice wash on it, a darker wash, to bring out all the details in all the scales and the sculpting. Some really nice detail on the sculpt. One of the most striking features of the monster in the movie were the red eyes, and in the movie the red eyes would glow and light up. So she'd come out of the water and the first thing you'd see were those two giant red eyes. So they did a nice job on the eyes on the figure, and some nice paint detail on the tongue and the nails, claws on the hands and the feet, which also have a little bit of wash on them. So it is a really nicely done figure. Here's the box for the figure, Gorgo Legacy, which is the title of a graphic novel that Titanic Creations also successfully crowdfunded, that will be releasing sometime summer 2024. Titanic Creations logo on this side of the box. On this side you get some text telling you that this is based on the original 1960s comic by Joe Gill and Steve Ditko. Also telling you about the Gorgo Legacy graphic novel that's coming, and that this is a limited edition of 500 pieces. Nice look at the artwork without text on the back, and that's also going to be the cover of the graphic novel. And on the bottom here you get some information about the artists that were involved in creating this stuff. So Dope Pope is the name of the sculptor. You can follow his work on Instagram. The art on this box and the graphic novel is Megaflow Graphics, and that is Patrick McAvoy. Titanic Creations is not stopping with just Gorgo. At the time of this recording, they have just successfully crowdfunded their second action figure based on the South Korean monster Yongari, and they have another crowdfund coming up summer 2024 for the North Korean monster Pulgasari. That's it for my look at the history of Gorgo. Certainly not as well known as Godzilla or King Kong, but known among fans of giant monsters like myself. Always enjoyed watching this growing up, since it was a slightly different take on the giant monster genre at the time, with the reveal of the mother and child angle, and that it took place in a different locale, that being London. We're used to seeing giant monsters trample across New York City and Tokyo and other Japanese cities. London was a little different, although Gorgo was not the first giant monster to invade London, and he wouldn't be the last. We may cover some of the others in different videos. And if the mother and baby scenario seems a little familiar, you may remember that was also used in the second Jurassic Park movie, The Lost World, where the baby T-Rex was taken to San Diego to be put on display, and the mother escaped and rampaged across the city looking for her baby. Steven Spielberg took inspiration from several different Monster on the Loose movies for the San Diego sequence from that film, and Gorgo was one of them. If you are interested in seeing the movie, it is a very affordable movie to get on both DVD and Blu-ray, but at least in the US, it is streaming for free on a variety of services, including Tubi and the Roku channel. That's it for this one. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.